My name's Daniel Cannell, and my company is DC Pro LVA for lighting, video, and audio. Our website's real simple for our website. It's dcprolva.com. I've started with you guys. Actually, looked, it was 2 years ago this month. Gross revenue has grown 2.5 times since then in our company. Beyond that, we are standing at the door right now of another major push. I can see it. I can see it coming. The pieces are getting into place. So have this conversation with me again a year from now, and I bet I can say the same thing again, that we've grown 2.5 times just between now and then. We kind of exist in two spaces. A huge client pool of ours is houses of worship, mainly churches. We've worked with a lot of big clients in that area: Bethel Church, Elevation Church, Life Church here in Oklahoma, Church of the Highlands out of Alabama. You kind of name it. If you're a large church in those areas, we work with them. But what I always like to stress when I say that, those are fun to work with. Some of our favorite clients are the smaller churches around, the ones that just want to have a good way to communicate with their congregations. So smaller churches shouldn't hesitate to reach out to us. We also do a lot in the corporate space. We work with Turning Point USA, Charlie Kirk. I know a lot of your listeners are probably very familiar with Charlie, the awesome work he does. We do all the Turning Point events. We had the honor of providing lighting for 11 of President Trump's stops that he did with Turning Point on the election cycle. Hopefully going to have some more here. And occasionally we get to work with other more unique artists and clients. We've worked with Nitro Circus, which is the guys that do the crazy backflips on the motorcycles. We've worked with SpaceX, Tesla, a lot of big corporate events. So again, I know a lot of your listeners are people that own corporations, run companies. Having events that are presented with excellence, so represents your company well, is huge, and that's a lot of what we do, is helping other companies with that. It's audio, video, lighting, AVL. We made a little joke in our name. My personal background is as a lighting and production designer, so we decided to switch it up and call ourselves an LVA company. We put lighting first where it belongs, instead at the tail end. But we do all that. Pretty much anything we're going to have a live event where you're going to have an audience, a crowd, a church service, a concert, a corporate event. We specialize in all those types of things, and we're also starting to branch out into TV studio spaces, corporate boardrooms. I can't imagine a bigger failure than when you're in a corporate boardroom and you're trying to communicate with a client and you're having AVL failures. You're not linking up to your Zoom correctly. You don't sound well. You don't look well. Even, right here in my little office, we make sure we have proper lighting, proper microphones. I want to sound good. I want to look good. So we're also starting to help people with that. But I was the technician mindset. So I understood how to do the service work that we do very well. I didn't know how to lead a team doing it. I didn't know how to structure, our sales team properly to take that load off. And, I found myself just showing up at the office every day and going, what hill do I need to climb today? And what that usually meant is that other people got to take control of my time. Whether it would be my employees or our customers, they dictated what my days looked like. When I reached out to you guys and started working with you, what I thought, and what I thought I wanted from you guys was a bunch of pre-built systems that you would hand off to me and go, okay, here's the way you need to do it. What you did, and what has been the real secret for me, is that you worked on me first. An example right here in front of me, I'm looking at my desk. This is my daily clipboard I carry around. It's got my calendar on one side, my to-do list on the other. Such a simple thing, literally life-changing. This is the first part of my day every day. And what I've found is this has been such an anxiety relief, such a stress relief, that allows me to step away from the working in my business and work on my business. Because before I get to that point every day, I can look through and go, no, that's not something I need to do. At the bottom of that to-do list, what you probably couldn't see because I showed it pretty fast, is I have a delegate section on my to-do list where I will start to write a note for me and go, no, someone else can do that. And I'll put it in the delegate. That pre-planning of my time has made us millions of dollars. The major benefit for me is, and again, initially my pushback was that we have QuickBooks that we use. It shows me all this. No, it definitely does not. What we've been able to identify, because of the uniqueness of the industry we're in, we don't have short-term payoffs. We don't have clients giving us money every single day. We get money in big chunks spread out over a larger period of time. And what it's helped me identify is a weird cash flow variable in our industry that we didn't understand before. And we kind of do this over the weeks. So I will have 3 or 4 weeks in a row with a low cash flow season, and then I'll have 2 or 3 with a high cash flow season. What that has allowed us to start doing now is adjusting our spending where we're doing it at the peaks and not in the valleys of that cash flow. Seems like a minor thing, but has kept us from either, number one, missing opportunities because we were trying to time the cash flow at the wrong time, or not spending that money in the proper place.
Folks, on today's show, I'm super excited to introduce you to an entrepreneur that's having a lot of success. Why? Because I think when I interview someone like Wolfgang Puck, or John Maxwell or the founder of Fubu or an Eric Trump, I think it seems sometimes unapproachable. I think sometimes when you see somebody who's having that level of success, it seems unapproachable. Then I think there's somebody watching today's show and you've got an idea for a startup. You want to start something, or maybe you have a company and you're just kind of stuck. And you say, I want to have massive success, but I need to hear a success story of somebody else that has done it, that is doing it, somebody who's in the trenches with me, because it's going to build your confidence and your faith that you too can do it. And so on today's show, I want to introduce you to a man who has built and is building a super successful company that's adding a ton of value. It's adding a ton of value in the audio visual space. Daniel Cannell, welcome onto the Thrivetime Show. How are you, sir?
Thanks so much. I'm doing great. I think that may be one of the best compliments I've ever gotten. Definitely the best introduction I've ever gotten. So
Well,
thanks
I appreciate you very much. I know there's somebody watching this going, is this guy an AI model? Is he real? So can you share with us your first and last name and the name of your website?
Absolutely. My name's Daniel Cannell. My company is DC Pro LVA for lighting, video, and audio. Our website's real simple for our website. It's dcprolva.com.
Okay, I'm going to pull it up real quick on the screen so people can verify that it is a real website. And for anybody out there who is kind of watching today's show and you want to add value to today's guest, if you go to dcprolva.com and share that link on your social media, what that does is it helps Daniel's website rank higher in the search results too. So if you're watching today's show, go to dcprolva.com. Click there right now and you can see the website and you can verify he's a real person. Now, Daniel, you work on some of the biggest projects in America, some visually spectacular things. Tell us over the years, who are some of the projects, or what kinds of projects have you worked on over the years?
Absolutely. We kind of exist in two spaces. A huge client pool of ours is houses of worship, mainly churches. We've worked with a lot of big clients in that area. Bethel Church, Elevation Church, Life Church here in Oklahoma, Church of the Highlands out of Alabama. You kind of name it. If you're a large church in those areas, we work with them. But what I always like to stress when I say that, those are fun to work with. Some of our favorite clients are the smaller churches around, the ones that just want to have a good way to communicate with their congregations. So smaller churches shouldn't hesitate to reach out to us. We also do a lot in the corporate space. We work with Turning Point USA, Charlie Kirk. I know a lot of your listeners are probably very familiar with Charlie, the awesome work he does. We do all the Turning Point events. We had the honor of providing lighting for 11 of President Trump's stops that he did with Turning Point on the election cycle. Hopefully going to have some more here. And occasionally we get to work with other more unique artists and clients. We've worked with Nitro Circus, which is the guys that do the crazy backflips on the motorcycles. We've worked with SpaceX, Tesla, a lot of big corporate events. So again, I know a lot of your listeners are people that own corporations, run companies. Having events that are presented with excellence, so represents your company well, is huge, and that's a lot of what we do, is helping other companies with that.
If you had to describe the services that you provide, or would you describe yourself as audio, visual, lighting, or what do you call that? What's kind of the industry terminology that would be best used to describe what you do?
Absolutely. And you kind of hit the nail on the head there. It's audio, video, lighting, AVL. We made a little joke in our name. My personal background is as a lighting and production designer. So we decided to switch it up and call ourselves an LVA company. We put lighting first where it belongs, instead at the tail end. But we do all that. Pretty much anything we're going to have a live event where you're going to have an audience, a crowd, a church service, a concert, a corporate event. We specialize in all those types of things. And we're also starting to branch out into TV studio spaces, corporate boardrooms. I can't imagine a bigger failure than when you're in a corporate boardroom and you're trying to communicate with a client and you're having AVL failures. You're not linking up to your Zoom correctly. You don't sound well. You don't look well. Even, right here in my little office, we make sure we have proper lighting, proper microphones. I want to sound good. I want to look good. So we're also starting to help people with that.
So for anybody watching today's show, if they want to hire you guys or learn more about your services before we get into your story, everybody go out there right now to dcprolva.com. Who's your ideal and likely buyer? Like, who do you work with? Is it typically churches? Is it corporate America? Is it what's kind of your ideal and likely buyer?
We are between 60 and 70% of our clients being churches. And again, I mentioned some big names in the church world there. We work with all sizes. Even if you just need some good speakers to make sure your pastor's voice is clear with every seat in the room, we can serve churches of that size up to the biggest in the country. After that, we work with a lot of corporate companies. We do less and less of the musical concerts and things of that nature anymore. But if you're a corporation that wants to host an event for employees, if you want to host an event for clients to come to, we'd be a great company to reach out to just to make sure your message is presented with excellence.
Now, how did you first start this company? Again, for anybody out there, if you're listening if you're listening right now and you're taking notes, it's dcprolva.com. How did you start dcprolva.com? What was the process like?
Very bad. No, this is all I've done my whole career. I've been a lighting production designer, until DC Pro started about 6 or 7 years ago. I hired my first full-time employee in January of 2020. So I kind of consider that personally the start of the company when I started bringing more people into it here. For anyone out there that's read the book E-Myth, that's how I started the company. I started the book as a technician and going, well, I know how to do lighting production very well, so I bet I can get people to buy it. And after a couple of years of doing that, I realized I needed help. And that's where I reached out to people like you guys to help show me how to not just do the work of the business, but build a business out of it. So we started out by just using my network, people I already had relationships with, and going, hey, rather than just hiring me to provide the service for you, now we provide product. Now we provide rental solutions. Now we provide this, and just building off of my network. And then what you guys have helped me with so much of the past couple of years of working with you is figuring out how to start to reach outside of my network to new customers, new leads that we don't have an existing relationship with.
Now, on part two of today's show, I kind of teed it up. So I'm going to put Michael Gerber. I did an interview with Michael Gerber. I'm going to add it to part two of today's show. Michael Gerber is the author of the E-Myth, because years ago I met Michael, and Michael and I were comparing notes, and he was asking me, where do you see clients that are typically stuck? Where do you see it? Business owners, Clay, where do you see? And I said, well, in your book, as you articulated, Michael Gerber wrote that most entrepreneurs are technicians that are working in their business rather than on their business. And I said, Michael, what I find, the challenge I find when I work with clients is that the theory or the idea, the belief of, hey, I should work on my business, that is absolutely something people believe in. But then there's the urgency of needing to sell something at a profit. Another example is there are people out there that are watching today's show and they say, man, I want to achieve physical fitness like Daniel has. I want to be physically fit like Daniel, and I want to do it. I want to take my fitness goals to the next level. However, they have a job that has them working the night shift, and they're kind of viewing it like, I can't focus on fitness until I'm done with the night shift, or I can't start working on my business until I actually get to a certain place financially. Then I'll work on the business. I can't work out until I get to this spot in my life with my schedule. And what I find, I told Michael Gerber this. I said it's the messy middle. That's what I help clients through, is that messy middle. So I want to get your thoughts about the messy middle, because you have the biggest organizations in America and middle-sized companies reaching out to you every day. Meanwhile, you're trying to work on the business. What was the biggest challenge, or what is the biggest challenge of working through that together over these past couple of years?
I think personally for me, the biggest challenge was I went from being exactly like you said, a technician, which, by the way, please tell Mr. Gerber, I'm reading his book for the third time right now. And it's like I'm reading it again for the first. So valuable. But I was the technician mindset. So I understood how to do the service work that we do very well. I didn't know how to lead a team doing it. I didn't know how to structure, our sales team properly to take that load off. And, I found myself just showing up at the office every day and going, what hill do I need to climb today? And what that usually meant is that other people got to take control of my time. Whether it would be my employees or our customers, they dictated what my days looked like. When I reached out to you guys and started working with you, what I thought, and what I thought I wanted from you guys was a bunch of pre-built systems that you would hand off to me and go, okay, here's the way you need to do it. What you did, and what has been the real secret for me, is that you worked on me first. An example right here in front of me, I'm looking at my desk. This is my daily clipboard I carry around. It's got my calendar on one side, my to-do list on the other. Such a simple thing. Literally life-changing. This is the first part of my day every day. And what I have found is this has been such an anxiety relief, such a stress relief, that allows me to step away from the working in my business and work on my business. Because before I get to that point every day, I can look through and go, no, that's not something I need to do. At the bottom of that to-do list, what you probably couldn't see because I showed it pretty fast, is I have a delegate section on my to-do list where I will start to write a note for me and go, no, someone else can do that. And I'll put it in the delegate. That pre-planning of my time has made us millions of dollars.
What you just said, I literally just got goosebumps. This is exactly, again, I tell people who watch this show, they say, why do you do it? Folks, I'm 44 years old. When I grew up, my dad was delivering pizzas at Domino's. He was working at Quick Trip the night shift. He was absolutely doing the very best he could to provide for my family. He had a college degree. So he was trying to provide for my mom and my brother and I, and he just didn't know how to do it. And so every time I talk to somebody, whether it's you, Daniel, or somebody online or someone who comes to our workshop, well, I try to speak to, not in a new age kind of way, but I try to speak to Tom Clark, my father, may he rest in peace, because he had to exchange the night shift and virtually every holiday and every day to put food on our table, and he didn't know how to do it. He didn't know how to grow a company. And I think that's a really a valuable thing about coaching is, it's different to have somebody tell you, hey, go do this, but coaching is the follow-up to make sure we're actually doing it. And I think that's a powerful thing is the follow-up. But I want to get your thoughts on this, because if you're new to coaching or new to having somebody helping you grow your company, it can seem tedious. It can even be frustrating having somebody follow up when you're working on yourself. But really, that's why I see professional athletes have coaches. People that are in great shape tend to work out with a partner or a group. People that have strong financials tend to work with an accountant or a financial coach. Can you talk about just the nature of the coaching relationship? Because I do think it can be tedious. It can be redundant. It could be, but it needs to be.
It can be, and it definitely was. And I even went through a cycle with you guys where I wasn't sure what we were doing, and I went and talked to my coach about it, and luckily I got some clarity through that. But what the big mental shift for me was like I said a second ago. I thought you guys were going to work on my business for me, and that was just a misunderstanding on my part. It's exactly what you said. It's coaching. You're working on me so that I can work on my business. Some of the tedious tracking. And again, I didn't understand in the beginning. Some of my pushback to my coach was we already have systems in place for this. We have things that do this. But what he pointed out very clearly, we have those, but I couldn't explain them to him at a granular level. And if I can't, as the owner of the company, explain it to my coach of how this works in our company, and what it's tracking, it means that it's not actually working. So the tracking sheets that you guys have us do, I have a much more of a granular understanding of the finances of our company now than I ever did before. Tracking our Google reviews. I'm going to be real honest. My industry, I did not in the beginning think that was something that was valuable. I was so wrong. And it's not just getting the Google reviews to improve our SEO. What it's done is helped build processes within my team to where I'm giving my guys ownership over that process. I'm getting buy-in from them. So the result of the Google reviews is rather than just benefiting, like I said, our SEO, it's taught my team to, at the end of the project, to go talk to the clients, to get the review from them, to find out what went well, to lean into it. So all that stems from these little, like you said, somewhat tedious things. But what I'd say with anybody that starts coaching with you guys, it took me probably 7 to 10 months before I really got it. And once I did, the value is off the charts.
Now I'm going to unpack. There were six. I was taking notes here as you were talking. There are 6 areas I'm going to have you unpack one by one with the limited time we have here. So first off, as I was taking notes, tracking. System number 1, tracking. I find that most business owners don't track. Now, let me give you an example. Charles Kolaw, I'm going to pull up his website real quick. Longtime client of mine, unbelievable guy. Probably the most physically fit specimen I've ever seen in my life. This guy, he is jacked. Charles is absolutely focused on fitness. And if you're around him, he's always taking notes on what he's eating. He tracks every meal, what he eats, and what he does in the gym. And he looks like it. And so Charles is very intentional about tracking in the areas of fitness. And when I started showing him how to track in business, it resonated with him. It connected with him because he goes, okay, I do that in the gym. I don't know why I'm not doing it with my company. And I think somebody out there watching today's show, you're maybe just new to tracking. How does it help you to see a tracking sheet where you can see each week what got done or what didn't get done, or what just where you can see all the results in one place?
Yeah, the major benefit for me is, and again, initially my pushback was that we have QuickBooks that we use. It shows me all this. No, it definitely does not. What we've been able to identify because of the uniqueness of the industry we're in, we don't have short-term payoffs. We don't have clients giving us money every single day. We get money in big chunks spread out over a larger period of time. And what it's helped me identify is a weird cash flow variable in our industry that we didn't understand before. And we kind of do this over the weeks. So I will have 3 or 4 weeks in a row with a low cash flow season, and then I'll have 2 or 3 with a high cash flow season. What that has allowed us to start doing now is adjusting our spending where we're doing it at the peaks and not in the valleys of that cash flow. Seems like a minor thing, but has kept us from either, number one, missing opportunities because we were trying to time the cash flow at the wrong time, or just not spending that money in the proper place.
Now, and the next area I wanted to get more detailed into is online reputation management. You go to dcprolva.com. I was having this conversation with Eric Trump, actually. It's very interesting. He came and spoke at I think we've done 26 events together, but the first one he came to, one of our attendees said, what does he do? I remember they said they were literally they came up to me in line. This is Eric Trump. They come up to me. This is President Trump's son, and one of the attendees says, "What does he do? Like, what's his job? Is he like on the? Does he help kind of manage things, or what does he do?" And I remember thinking to myself, that is so commonly asked to me. People always say, what does Eric do? And I explained to him, well, Eric Trump, he actually runs the Trump organization. Like, you talk about the Trump organization, who runs it? That's Eric Trump. Okay, so the guy who manages thousands of employees. And I said, Eric, I don't think most people know what you do. And he's like, really? And it was kind of, he didn't know that people didn't know what he does. And I think the same thing's true with your business. People go to your website and you're almost like the best kept secret. People didn't know that you had done projects for certain people unless it's documented on the website, unless you have images to prove you've done what you've done, unless you have testimonials or reviews of some kind. People wouldn't know that you've done the audio visual for some of the Trump rallies and the Charlie Kirk events in Bethel unless you had documented it. Could you talk about that? Because I know you're a humble guy. And I know you don't like to spend your time talking about yourself, which is part of the problem from a branding perspective. Can you talk about that for a second? Like just the importance of, or maybe how that's helped you by documenting over the years some of the events you've done in the past?
Actually, it's funny you bring that up. This is something we're in the middle of right now. And I'll share the bad with the good. This is an area we're really trying to work on still. That website you keep bringing up, that's actually our old website. You guys are helping me as we speak right now get the new website launched. So I'm very much in the middle of doing what you're talking about. And it's that, I don't have a marketing background. So anytime I focus on marketing, to me, it feels like bragging. It feels like, I'm trying to show off. No, I'm trying to tell people and communicate about my business. So we're very much still in the middle of this right now. A lot of what you guys are helping me with, we're doing both printed marketing materials. I haven't had a great way when my sales team, my business development team goes and meets with clients to have an easy visual of showing, hey, here's what we do. And one of the things I'm noticing as the business continues to expand, when you're the founder, it's one thing to be able to stand there and go, yeah, I did this. I was there, and you can speak about it to a different degree than the people on your team can. So we're, as we speak, going through and giving our team a lot of those materials they need to show, here's what we do as a team. Here's what the history of the company did. We're both doing that on the website. You guys are personally working through with me on that. And then across the board, we are doing a whole marketing push of printed documentation, easy one flyer handouts. That's one you guys have helped me understand a lot better, is just having something I can put into a customer's hand that gives them a quick, simple, easy to explain overview of what we do and who we are.
Tying into the next item here, building systems that other people who are not experts can do. That's a big thing. I call it the curse of knowledge, but it's where you're really good at graphic design. So you hire somebody with a graphic design degree and you assume they can do what you want them to do, but they can't. It's where you have an audio visual background. So you hire somebody with an audio visual degree and you think they can do what you can do, but they can't. And so building systems that other people can use. Can you talk about that? How that's impacted your business, building systems that other people who are not you can use?
Absolutely. And that's one too that I didn't see until you guys coached me through it, because it's not just doing audio, video, and lighting. It's doing audio, video, and lighting my way, because the customer's not coming to us for the commodity, and they're not coming to us for the fixtures and the speakers and the microphones. They're coming to us for DC Pro and the way that DC Pro uses those tools for their event. So in my head, having never built anything like this before, thought that had to be some big complex system. We've started using simple, just Google Docs. And anytime a topic comes up where a person has a question about how we do this, that now immediately triggers a discussion inside of, oh, we need a Google Doc spelling out that process. We have complicated ones that go through our entire sales process from the moment a client calls to when we finalize their job. And it goes through every step. That particular one is almost a 4-page document at this point. We've also broken down sections of that, but being able to step back and see that whole workflow and talk through it and have everyone on the team know what the expectations are have been huge. And we just hired a new office assistant. She started last week. That was the first new hire we've had where we had all of our onboarding documents already detailed out down to call scripts. So she now sees when someone calls, word for word, here's what I say. And that has been huge for getting her up to speed and going.
Final 3 questions, final 5 minutes. Here we come. One is for anybody out there watching online that may be going, you know what, I have a church or I go to a church and maybe this company could help me. Maybe if I go to dcprolva.com, maybe they could help my church, or somebody who's a pastor, you're saying it could help my church, or again, you attend a church, you're going, that could help. Or maybe you're a praise and worship leader, or maybe you attend a place where you're going, man, our church really needs to go to the next level with the audio visual. What makes your company unique, or why should everybody check out your business?
Specifically for churches, one of the things we love is almost every person that works at DC Pro, definitely every person in management level and above, has worked in full-time ministry at some point. We understand the challenges of churches. It's not just about putting equipment in there. How do we put equipment in there that's going to honor your budget? Because that's first and foremost. Some person tithes to pay for whatever you're going to pay us. We take that very seriously. We want to honor that money. Secondary, you most likely have volunteers making sure your service works every weekend. If we put in complicated systems, if we put in systems that they can't win at, that's going to fall apart. And when you're talking about something like church, that's a very serious matter. If your microphone is feeding back, if your screen glitches out, if things aren't working right, that very well could distract someone who's at your church for the first time and interfere with them getting a relationship with Christ. So yeah, we are very serious about the quality, the simplicity, the excellence of what we do across the board, but even more so with churches.
Second question for you. A lot of people, they come to our conferences and they say, Clay, that business conference I came to, it really ignited something for me. Some people say the weekly coaching, it really holds me accountable. It helps me grow. Some people say it's all of it together. What do you say to somebody out there that hasn't been to one of our workshops or hasn't scheduled a free 13-point assessment with our team yet?
I've been to one of your guys' conferences, and that was absolutely the first thing that hooked me. And it was literally something you said in that conference that got me in. I thought that what you guys were going to coach me on was just work harder, work more hours, work all the time. And that was not something that was going to work for me personally. It wasn't that. You made it very clear that every business leader is looking for one of two things, or maybe both: financial freedom or time freedom. And it's important that you understand what you're going for, and then you build your business to get what you want out of that. That is what made me understand, okay, this is a team I want to talk to. You and I did the quick 30-minute onboarding, and that is what took me the rest of the way. Absolutely, I have found more value in the coaching, 100%, but I highly recommend someone attends at least one conference because it really gives you a great overview of your guys' approach.
Final question for you. For anybody out there that maybe you're stuck in an elevator with somebody and they say, okay, give me a 60-second or less overview of how the coaching has impacted your company. How would you describe it for somebody who's going, all right, 60 seconds, you and I are in an elevator. Tell me how the coaching has impacted your company.
I think for every company, it's going to be a little different, and at the beginning, like I've said a couple times, I thought you guys were there to help work on my company. No, you're there to help work on me. But what that's done is it's taken me from that technician we've talked about from the E-Myth book and turned me into that entrepreneur. I have a background in the industry. I don't need you guys to help me understand audio, video, and lighting everywhere anymore. But what you've done is optimized me. I now get more done in one day here at the office than I used to get done in a week or weeks at the office. But on top of that, I leave the office every day at 2:00 because I have, my family is uber important to me. Getting to the gym every day to make sure I'm mentally, physically feeling well so that I can do all the things I need to do is very important to me. So I get up every day at 4 a.m., go straight to my office at home and work for 3 hours before I ever get to the office. Now, some people may be saying, that sounds horrible. But yeah, what if it meant you could get away at 2:00? So it took months and months of Andrew from your team really individually honing in on every little detail. But I'm now optimized to the point where, it's not just that you guys help me with DC Pro. There's a few more things we're trying to get lined out at DC Pro. So it's at the point where I feel like I want it. But now I can't wait to start for my next business and the next business after that and the next business after that. We have 2 in the cooker right now that I'm not quite ready to launch. But when I do, it's going to be huge. The reason I can do that is not because you told me how to run DC Pro. You taught me how to run me.
Yeah, our service, we do charge $1,700 a month for our service. We do that. We make a 20% profit margin. So I make $340 a month per client. From an ROI perspective or return on investment perspective, what kind of ROI have you seen?
So I've started with you guys. I actually looked, it was 2 years ago this month. Gross revenue has grown 2.5 times since then in our company. Beyond that, we are standing at the door right now of another major push. I can see it. I can see it coming. The pieces are getting into place. So have this conversation with me again a year from now, and I bet I can say the same thing again, that we've grown 2.5 times just between now and then.
Daniel, it's an honor to serve you. Thank you so much for sharing your story, for encouraging everybody out there. And again, I got goosebumps when you're explaining to me the transformation. So I couldn't be more excited to serve you. Thanks for joining us today.
Appreciate you guys so much.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Clay, you're an entrepreneur. I'm an entrepreneur. And as they say in Stoic, the obstacle is the way. And so if you let these pinheads get in your way, you're in trouble.
Robert, one of the things that you said on multiple interviews, multiple times, and every time you said it, I thought to myself, have I not been paying attention? Because it felt like new information to me the first time I heard it, which is probably the 50th time I'd heard it. You said octa non verba. And maybe the first time you said it, I was driving while I'm, listening to the podcast while driving. And maybe I was half paying attention, but I octa non verba. And then it was like almost like an angelic moment for me. And I octa non verba. And once I finally understood what it meant and what you were saying and how it could be used, I think it was life-changing for me and how I approach business. Could you explain octa non verba, what it means and how our listeners can apply it?
Clay, you gave me goosebumps, man. I'm glad it hit you as hard as it did. Octa non verba is the motto of the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy at Kings Point, New York. I had appointments to Naval Academy and Kings Point Merchant Marine Academy. And Merchant Marine Academy's motto was octa non verba. In other words, don't listen to what a person says. Watch what they do. Clay, my honor to be on your show. And thank you for all you do. I hear the ripple effects from you are good ripple effects. You know what I mean? People rave about what they learned from you. So congratulations. I learned at the Academy, Kings Point in New York. Octa non verba. Watch what a person does, not what they say.
Hi, I'm Ryan Wimpy.
And I'm Rachel Wimpy, and the name of our business is Tip Top Canine.
Our business is a dog training business. We help people with behavioral issues and teach their dog how to listen. When I was learning to become a dog trainer, we didn't learn anything about internet marketing or advertising or anything at all. Just dog training. And that's what's so great about working with Clay and his team, because they do it all for us.
So that we can focus on our passion, and that's training dogs. Clay and his team here, they're so enthusiastic. Their energy is off the charts. Never a dull moment here at Thrive.
We've been working with Clay and his team for the last 5 months, 2 of which have been our biggest months ever. 1, our biggest gross by 35%. Clay's helped us make anything from brochures to stickers, new business cards, new logos, scripts for phones, script for email, script for text message, scripting for everything.
How I would describe the weekly meetings with Clay and his team are awesome. They're so effective. It's worth every minute. Things get done. We'll ask for things like different flyers, and they're done before our hour is up. So it's just awesome, extremely effective.
If you don't use Clay and his team, you're probably going to be pulling your hair out, or you're going to spend half of your time trying to figure out the online marketing game and producing your own flyers and marketing materials, print materials, all the stuff like that. You're really losing a lot as far as lost productivity and lost time, not having a professional do it. It has a real sense of urgency and that actually knows what they're doing when you already have something that's your core focus that you already know how to do.
You would also be missing out with all the time and financial freedom that you would have working with Clay and his team.
We would recommend Clay and his team to other business owners because they need to be working on their business, not just trying to figure out the online game, which is complex and changing daily. So no one has a marketing team too. Most people don't. They can't afford one, and their local web guy or a local person that they know probably can't do everything that a whole team and a whole floor of people can do in hours and not just weeks or months. There's a definite sense of urgency with Clay and his team. I used to have to ride other web people, really ride them to get stuff done, and stuff is done so fast here. And there's a real sense of urgency to get it done. Hey, I'm Ryan Wimpy. I'm originally from Tulsa, born and raised here. I've definitely learned a lot about life design and making sure the business serves you. The linear workflow for us and getting everything out on paper and documented is really important. Like we have workflows that are kind of all over the place, so having linear workflow and seeing that mapped out on multiple different boards is pretty awesome. That's really helpful for me. The atmosphere here is awesome. I definitely just stared at the walls, figuring out how to make my facility look like this place. This place rocks. It's invigorating. The walls are super, it's just very cool. The atmosphere is cool. The people are nice. It's a pretty cool place to be. Very good learning atmosphere. I literally want to model it and steal everything that's here at this facility and basically create it just on our business side. Play is hilarious. I literally laughed so hard that I started having tears yesterday.
Get ready to enter the Thrivetime Show.
We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom and we'll show you how to get here. We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here.
We started from the bottom, now we're on the top. Teaching you the systems to get what we got. Colton Dixon's on the hooks, I break down the books. Z's bringing some wisdom and the good looks. As the father of five, that's why I'm alive. So if you see my wife and kids, please tell them hi. It's the C&Z up on your radio. And now 3, 2, 1, here we go.
We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom.
Yes, 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 and yes, Thrive Nation. Today's a very special occasion because you never know, Josh Wilson, who you are going to meet at a Trump Hotel room. You never know when you go to the Trump Hotel in Chicago. You never know who you're going to meet there. And I met the man and the myth, the guy who is behind the E-Myth series of books that absolutely changed the way that I approach business. Michael Gerber, the author of the E-Myth. I met him there in the Chicago hotel, and I asked him if he would be on the show. He made a poor life choice, and he's decided to be here with us. Michael Gerber, how are you, sir?
Delighted to be here.
Oh, wow. You are just absolutely a living legend, and your book helped so many people. But before we get into your book, and specifically Chapter 5 of your book, could you share with the listeners where you grew up and kind of your background, just so they know that you weren't born at the top of the mountain?
Well, hear me, nobody is born at the top of the mountain. I certainly wasn't. I was born in New Jersey, in Elizabeth, New Jersey, of a couple of beautiful Jewish parents. And part of a growing family. In 1936, in the heart of the Depression, just as the horror was taking place in Europe, and just before the Holocaust was to take place in Europe, I grew up as a little boy in that season without any understanding of what was going on in the world around me. My parents decided to move from New Jersey to California in 1947, and we did move to Anaheim, California, and I was raised in Anaheim, California, and my journey started in Anaheim, California, and my journey continued for the rest of my life to the point where you speak to me here today. And I could go into all of that, but it is such an uninteresting story about Michael Gerber, where he was, what he did, how he did it, why he didn't do it, what he could have done.
So let me ask you this. When did you kind of start to figure out what you wanted to do professionally? What age were you when you had that idea?
I didn't. I never focused on what I wanted to do. I was a jazz saxophone player. I was an encyclopedia salesman. I did this, I did that, I did that, I did this. All the time that I was doing that, I was reading and studying philosophy, spirituality, music, jazz, all the stuff anybody would ever be attracted to until I hit the age of 41. Now hear me, all of this started, Clay, then at the age of 41.
41.
And at 41, a friend of mine who owned a small advertising agency in Silicon Valley, California, asked me if I'd meet with one of his clients who was having difficulty converting leads that my brother-in-law's ad agency was creating for him into sales. And I told my brother-in-law, Ace, that's his name, that's still his name, God bless him. I said, Ace, I don't know anything about business, and I certainly don't know anything about high-tech business. He said, Michael, you know more than you think you do. Just meet with the guy. Let's see what happens. So Ace dropped me off to meet with the guy. We'll call him Bob. Bob had a high-tech product. He had sales engineers having difficulty selling that product. And Ace dropped me off and said, Bob, Ace, Michael, guys, get to know each other. I'll be back in an hour. So obviously Bob said to me, Michael, what do you know about my business? And I said, nothing, Bob, because I didn't.
Right.
And he said, well, what do you know about our product? I said, less than that, Bob. And obviously he's looking at his watch and thinking, I've got an hour with this guy. He doesn't know anything. What in the hell am I going to do with him? But instead he said, so if you don't know anything about my business and you don't know anything about my product, how can you help me? And I said, I haven't a clue, Bob, but we've got an hour to kill. So let's start so I can ask you some questions. And that's how all this started. I began to ask Bob questions, and I realized, despite the fact that he owned a small business, despite the fact that he was the CEO of a small business, despite the fact that he thought of himself as an entrepreneur starting that small business, every answer Bob gave me was anecdotal. There was no facts underlying anything he said. So I'd ask more, and then I'd ask more, and then I'd ask more, and then I'd ask more. And I suddenly realized I did know something about business. I knew that selling is a system, and I knew that Bob didn't have one.
Thrive Nation, that deserves a quick timeout right there. That is absolutely huge. In order to create time freedom and financial freedom, again, in order to create both time and financial freedom, you must create systems that are both repeatable and quickly learnable. You have to create sales systems that other people can implement who are not you. And that way you can quickly train new members of your team how to create a repeatably, predictably successful system for sales. Otherwise, again, it always comes down to you doing the selling. You've got to create repeatable systems that wow the customers each and every time. So I would ask you today, specifically, when somebody calls your business phone, how is the phone answered? And if you don't know the answer to that, make a call script for answering your phones. You need to have a call script for answering your phones. You need to have a pre-written email that you send to new potential clients. You need to have a frequently asked questions script, so that way when anybody calls you and asks your new hire frequently asked questions, they're going to have all the answers. You want to think about every aspect of your system, and you want to make it scalable and repeatable. You want to make sure that your on-hold music is music that is going to wow the customer each and every time. You want to make sure that every interaction with your customer is, in fact, scalable. It is repeatable, and that it does wow the customers.
And I told Bob, without a selling system, you're not going anywhere with this. He said, what's a selling system? I said, just think of it as a script. First you say this, then you say that, then you say this, then you say that.
Oh, yeah.
First he does this, then he does that, then he does this, then he does that. And in the process of doing this and doing that and saying this and saying that, something happens, and you can predict what that's going to be after you've gotten it down, really gotten it down into a groove.
Into a groove.
Into a groove. And he said to me, well, can you create that for me? And I said, of course. So when Ace came to pick me up, he said, what happened? I said, I just got a job. He said, what do you mean a job? I said, I'm now a consultant. He said, what do you mean a consultant? I said, I'm now consulting Bob on creating a selling system. He said, what do you know about that? I said, I guess everything. And that was the beginning of it. And that was the beginning of this. That was the beginning of E-Myth. That was the beginning of everything I've done since that point in time.
Remember, keep this planted firmly in your mind, that entrepreneurship is simply solving a problem for your ideal and likely buyers in exchange for compensation. Again, entrepreneurship is simply solving a problem in exchange for the compensation that you seek for your ideal and likely buyers. Think about all of the problems that you can solve for your ideal and likely buyers. Make a list of all the problems that you can solve for your ideal and likely buyers and offer your ideal and likely buyers those solutions in exchange for the money you seek, and you will create both time and financial freedom. It is that easy, my friends. It is unbelievable. Find a problem that you can solve for your ideal and likely buyers, and then make the system repeatable. Make it scalable, and make sure that it wows your ideal and likely buyers. Make sure that the business can work without you, and you shall experience both time and financial freedom.
So you might say, I didn't come to the realization of why I was here on the planet until I turned 40.
40 years old. Now, let me ask you, at the age of 40, you began to have these epiphanies, discovering that many of the people out there, most of our listeners, most people on the planet, we have bought into this thing called the E-myth, where we've bought into this wrong mindset to business, or this wrong way about looking at business. Can you explain what the E-myth is for people out there that don't know what the E-myth stands for?
Sure. The E-myth is the entrepreneurial myth. It's based upon the assumption that everybody believes anybody and everybody who starts their own business is an entrepreneur. And the fact is they're not. What I learned with Bob, and then with Mary, and then with Judy, and the various little companies that I worked on behalf of Ace's ad agency, until the point it became obvious that I was going to do this on my own, not in Ace's ad agency, because Ace didn't believe in what I was saying either. But I came to realize that none of them were entrepreneurs. They were all what I came to call technicians suffering from an entrepreneurial seizure. True. All they did was create a job for themselves.
True.
So every small business is a job for the idiot who started it. And now they're working for a really big idiot themselves.
Gosh.
And they're saying to themselves, yeah, but this isn't working. And of course it's not working, because they didn't design it to work. They didn't build it to work. They didn't launch it to work. They didn't grow it to work.
Right.
How to do that, design it, build it, launch it, and grow it, is what the E-myth is all about.
If you're out there today and you found yourself creating a business that has created financial freedom for you, but you don't know how to escape the wage cage, and you don't know how to actually create time freedom to go along with that financial freedom, that's why we have our in-person workshops and the one-on-one coaching. To learn more, go to thrivetimeshow.com. That's thrivetimeshow.com, and click on the conferences button. And there's no upsells at our workshops, and you're going to be seated by real entrepreneurs, people that actually own successful companies who are now where you once were. These are real entrepreneurs that needed to learn how to create both time and financial freedom. And many of our conference attendees come back year after year because now that they have created time and financial freedom, they want to refine the systems to make them even more efficient, or they want to receive a refresher course. Maybe they want to get re-inspired. But it's really awesome because you're going to be seated by real entrepreneurs just like you who own a company that is already doing well, but they just want to create both time and financial freedom at this point. And so I would encourage you to check it out today. Go to thrivetimeshow.com and then click on the conferences button and book your conference tickets today. And don't let finances be an obstacle here. If you're in a tight spot, we have scholarship options available. Essentially, we'll meet you where you're at financially to make sure that the financial obligations of purchasing a thrivetimeshow.com ticket are not going to exceed your ability to pay for them. And so without any further ado, back to my interview with Michael Gerber. What I find is that some of us think that we know what we're doing. So some of us, we think, so when I was building my first company, DJ Connection, before Brent Lawless gave me your book, I was having quote-unquote success. I was selling a lot of wedding packages with DJConnection.com. I was booking thousands of events. I was winning awards. I was being told I was the best entertainer. My company was great. And when I read chapter 5 of your book, you mentioned that I was creating a job and not a business. And I started contemplating, well, what's the difference between busyness and a business? Because they're spelled slightly differently, but busyness, there's the Y in there. And I don't know why I'm in business when I'm busyness. Busyness means I don't know why. And then Business means a business exists to serve me. There's an I in business. So a business exists to serve me. Okay. And I had to read that chapter over and over and over. And you challenged me in the Chicago hotel room at Trump Hotel. You challenged me to read the chapter again. So I read the book again. I read it. I went through all my highlights and I took photos of them and I sent it to your wife because I wanted you to know that I'd read it again. And so I would like to go into, if we can, to chapter 5 of your book and to page 51. We're going to open up the book, E-Myth Revisited, where you wrote, every adolescent business reaches a point where it pushes beyond its owner's comfort zone. For me, it was djconnection.com. The boundary within which he feels secure in his ability to control his environment and outside of which he begins to lose control. That's why I wanted to DJ 250 events, Michael, before your book saved me. I literally did 250 events in 1 year. I personally made the playlist for every wedding. I did everything. Tons of money, no time to spend it. It was awesome and terrible at the same time, and the world kept cheering. The world kept cheering. Help our listeners out there that are stuck in this adolescent phase where we want to control everything or we want to abdicate and assign items to members of our team who are poorly trained, and then we never follow up. So we either want to do it ourselves or we want to assign the project to somebody on our team who is poorly trained and poorly equipped to have success, and then we do a poor job of following up. Help the listeners out there, my friend.
So the evolution of a company from infancy to adolescence to maturity is an absolutely universal process. Most small companies, we're talking about small companies, we're talking about a hamburger stand, we're talking about a meat market, we're talking about anything and everything that depends upon somebody doing some work. The butcher does the work, the gardener does the work, the hairdresser does the work, the poodle clipper does the work. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's work to be done. There's work to be done in every single business on the planet. Now, some of that work is very unsophisticated. Some of that work is very sophisticated. But despite whether sophisticated or unsophisticated, every single small business owner who starts a business is actually that technician. The hairdresser starts a beauty shop. The guy behind the microphone starts a thing behind the microphone. A chiropractor starts a chiropractic practice, and so forth and so forth. Well, of course they do, because that's what they do. That's what they know how to do.
You're correct. Everybody starts that way. I 100% agree with you.
Yeah. So infancy is that startup. Infancy is the very beginning. Infancy was that joyous time, Clay, at the very beginning of what you were doing behind that microphone.
Oh, yeah.
Where you just shined. And you remember that.
Oh, yeah.
You just shine.
Oh, it was awesome. It was a new idea, and it was exciting, and I did it myself, and people cheered. I got tipped.
You got up every day. You got up every day. You got up every day.
Oh, tell me the story.
You did that.
Oh, so
absolutely. Absolutely. Just like the woman in the beauty parlor. She gets up every day and she goes to work. And she takes out her brush and her needles and her thing and she goes to work. And the lady that comes in, and the lady who follows, and then the lady who follows, and they schmooze and they talk and they dance and they play and they do whatever they do. And the lady who comes in loves her, and the other one loves her, and the other one loves her, and so forth and so on. And then she gets busy. That's where adolescence steps in. Your company grew beyond just the beginning phase. So suddenly you've got to do this, because if you stop doing this, you're out of business.
Oh, yeah.
That's the deal. If you stop doing this, you're out of business. And that's where adolescence begins to take its toll. In other words, you got to get this done, you got to get that done, and you can't do everything anymore. There's too much to do, too little time to do it, and also you don't know everything that needs to be done. So you got to learn everything that needs to be done. Now you're stretched.
Quality's going down. You're stretched thin. The quality's going down. You're dropping the ball. You're making money, but now you're kind of offering shoddy work, shoddy quality. You start to lose the excitement about your business. You feel trapped in your business, Michael, right? I mean, you feel trapped.
Yeah, and your kids begin to wonder, where's Dad? Where's Dad? Where's Mom?
Oh,
where's Mom?
now you're just
How
being
come
mean.
you're never home? How come you're always working? How come you're always working? Well, I gotta work. I gotta work. I gotta work. I created this thing that depends upon me because I'm the star. So understand, it's that star issue. I'm the star. It won't work unless Clay Clark does it. It won't work unless Michael E. Gerber does it. I'm the star. That's when the business begins to fail. And it begins to fail big time. And what happens is, instead of doing this and doing that and doing this and doing that, instead of all of a sudden having people doing it, but they're not doing it as well as you do it, you had to bring people in, you had to bring people in, you had to bring in a bookkeeper, you had to bring in a whatever. They're not doing it as well as you did it. So finally you realize they don't work as well as you do. So you let them go.
Let them go.
And when you let them go, now it's still there waiting to be done.
And now you get to do it yourself again because you've created a job and not a business.
Right. So what do? You get small again.
Yeah.
And that's what everybody does. They grow and then they shrink. And then it goes to adolescence again, and then they shrink. And finally, they're through. So last year, there were roughly 550,000 small companies that shut their doors in this country. 550,000 small businesses that shut their doors, not because of the pandemic. You understand the pandemic, yeah, that's a problem. But understand the problem I'm talking about is a pandemic and has been a pandemic for generations.
It's worse than a pandemic. What you're talking about is worse than a pandemic. This happens every year, every decade, over and over and over. And what I find, I'd like to dive into. I'd like to dive into this with you. I have a lot of people that I have been friends with over the years who they start hiring everybody, like you were just talking about. They begin hiring people, and they begin to abdicate, but they think what they're doing is to delegate. They think that they're delegating when they're actually abdicating. Could you talk about this? I see it with accounting almost 100% of the time, where people, they bring in someone to do their accounting and they do not follow up with them because they're supposed to be the expert. I mean, could you help the listeners out there and maybe tell us what the difference is between abdicating and delegating?
Very simple. Abdication is where you turn over responsibility for something and there is no system. You turn over responsibility for a result, but there is no system. There's no method by which that result is intended to be produced. You understand, when McDonald's was first formulated, the very first franchise store, the franchise prototype in Des Plaines, Illinois, Ray Kroc went to work on that McDonald's hamburger stand to perfect the systems in that hamburger store so that whomever he hired would master the system. Master the system. The system was the solution, not the person he hired. In every case you're talking about, where we abdicate accountability, we're effectively turning over the responsibility to produce a result to somebody who's going to do it whatever way they do it. And every single person we turn it over to does it differently. So there is no way we do it. And if there is no way we do it, there is no, in quotes, McDonald's. There is no franchise. There is no turnkey system. There is no evolution of a methodology that identifies a brand from everyone else.
You, when you talk about a system, this might sound mean, and Michael, please feel free to argue with me if you need to here. You can straighten me out here. But I know people that say to me, business owners who I meet at conferences or who I meet in my building, they'll say, Clay, the system is Kara. The system is Steve. The system is Josh. They're assuming that a person is the system because the person does the job. And then that key person who's been with them since day 1 or maybe day 10 or maybe month 6, they move on. But I have found since implementing your approach to business, working on a business, the E-Myth approach, I now am no longer dependent upon personalities. So when somebody feels like it's time to move on, I can encourage them to move on with great joy. I mean that. I can be happy for them. I don't have to hold them hostage, and they don't hold me hostage.
Because the system stays here.
Yeah.
Because you own the system. You own the brand. You own the methodology. You own the ability to produce the result that you have designed your company to produce again and again and again and again. So when people tune in, when people come in, when people come to the store, when people go online, no matter where it is, online, offline, it doesn't make any difference. It produces exactly the result they came to get because it is an intelligent system. That's the key to the EMIC. That's one of the critical keys to the EMIC. It's the system, stupid.
I have before I let Josh ask you some questions, Josh with Living Water Irrigation is here. Now, I want to brag on Josh. He's grown a business from $300,000 in revenue to he's on pace to hit $3 million this year. But last year, Josh, what were your sales last year? What would you end the year at? $1.8 million. He's been a client of mine for a long time. And he's probably been tired of me referencing you. He's probably tired of it. He's probably saying, stop referencing. This guy doesn't even exist, probably. He thinks you're probably like a mythical person. But I show him the book cover. He Googles you. He verifies. He knows you're real now. And now he's here with you. And he has some questions for you, Michael. So, Josh, what questions do you have for the great one, Mr. Michael Gerber?
Well, Michael, first and foremost, thank you so much. It really honestly is an honor to speak to you. Due to you and all the coaching from Clay, it's truly, sincerely changed my life and the trajectory of it. So first and foremost, I'm thankful and grateful, sir.
Well, thank you.
Beyond that, my first question would be, what is the easiest way for us as a company? You know, we're having some pretty exponential growth, and we're really excited about it. But what's the easiest way for us to define our biggest limiting factor? And for other business owners out there, what's the easiest way to actually define that, Michael?
Well, your biggest limiting factor is what keeps you from producing what you hope to produce. Your biggest limiting factor is what keeps you from producing what you intend to produce, what you hope to produce, what your dream says you're there to produce. And so everything starts with a dream, a vision, a purpose, and a mission. That's the most critical thing you have to do at the beginning of all of this. I have a dream, I have a vision, I have a purpose, I have a mission. In 1977, when I started this thing that I'm so crazed about, when I started in 1977, we started with a dream, a vision, a purpose, and a mission. Our dream then, literally, in quote, was to transform the state of small business worldwide. Our vision was to invent the McDonald's of small business consulting. Our purpose was that every single small business owner who was attracted to our paradigm and implemented it could be as successful as a McDonald's franchisee or even more. And our mission was to invent the business development system that made our dream, our vision, our purpose possible. So we started our company, we started with the dream, a vision, a purpose, and a mission. So the first thing I would say to you, what's your dream? What's your vision? What's your purpose? What's your mission?
That is phenomenal.
Until you then can say our dream is our, not mine, our dream, our vision, our purpose, our mission, and explicate them clearly to every single person who joins you in your company, you'll not truly begin to grow it to the degree it's waiting to be grown.
So you want our listeners to define their dream, their mission, and their purpose. Am I correct, sir? Their dream, the mission, and the purpose?
Vision.
Dream, vision, purpose, mission. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. The first 4 steps of what I call the eightfold path. First, my dream. My dream is the great result we're here to produce. Second, my vision. My vision is the form our dream is going to take place on the street. Our purpose must truly transform the state of our individual customer's mindset about who he or she is and what he or she can expect from an economic, social, relational, familiar life. And finally, our mission is to invent the system. And it's always to invent the system. The mission is always about the system at the heart of our great growing enterprise. So you see, what I'm saying is, if you take this little business of yours, just that I'm saying this little business of yours, that where you're behind the microphone, where you're reaching out to your audience, et cetera, and so forth, and you take that dream, vision, purpose, and mission, you can immediately begin to see that the end result is always worldwide.
When you were growing the eMyth program and the book and the team, the movement, and you defined your dream and your vision and your purpose and your mission, and you began to craft the book, to write the book, to work with clients, to do your research, how long did it take you, Mr. Michael Gerber, to go from consulting your first client at the age of 41 to penning the eMyth Revisited book? How many years was that?
The first eMyth book, called eMyth, Why Most Small Businesses Don't Work and What to Do About It, was published in 1985. I started my company in 1977.
It's 8 years. 8 years of data and research.
Before that book would ever been written, I had to do it. And so the first years, from 77, 78, 79, 80, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I was working on the Michael Thomas Corporation to design, build, launch, and grow our turnkey capability to transform the state of small business worldwide.
The first 8 years you were working on the business, the first 8 years. And
well, the first 8 years, and then every year after that. So you got to understand, it's, you know, you do this, you do this, you do this, you do this. Everybody wants to get it now. Everybody wants to get it now. Everybody wants to get it. Can I do this in a year and a half? Can I do this in 6 minutes? Can I do this tomorrow? Everybody is simply stupid, Clay, when they think about this, because you can't do anything right now. It takes time to absorb what, in fact, the implications of what you're setting out to do really are. Because if I'm seriously saying I'm going to transform the state of small business worldwide, that means by doing what we're planning on doing, the business failure rate is going to decrease exponentially. The business success rate is going to increase exponentially. The experience of people inside of companies is going to be transformed radically. Lives are going to be transformed in the process. That's how big this is. And that's why it can't be done in a minute.
I do not want to be even slightly negative. I want to just be very practical.
Be as negative as you want to be.
Well, I want to bring this up because I know that you look like you're 22 years old. I mean, you're a young man, but you've been doing this a long time. And there are certain people who do what Thomas Edison once wrote. He calls it hallucination. Thomas Edison once famously wrote, he said, vision without execution is hallucination. Vision without execution is hallucination. What percentage of the time do you sit down and meet somebody and do you find yourself saying, I wish they would just implement? I mean, at what point do you say, I just wish they would implement? I mean, is it a third of the time that people seek knowledge and they don't want to implement? Is it a tenth of the time? How often do people seek the knowledge? You give them the knowledge, but they don't want to implement? Because I hear so many eMyth success stories. I just want to know what percentage of people get the knowledge and they don't want to implement?
You have to understand, anybody can come to me at any point in time, and they do. And they can say, I want to do this, or I want to do that. And I say, absolutely extraordinary. And I said, and the good news is there's a process for doing that. And the better news is it's a universal process, meaning you don't have to invent it. It already exists. It's what I call the Eightfold Path. Step one, step two, just like I've just done. Now, what happens at that point is what shapes what happens next. Because what happens at that point is, person might say, yeah, but I don't want to do all that stuff. All I want to do is, all I want to do.
All I want to do. I don't want that stuff.
I hear you. You don't want to do all that stuff. And I said, you have no idea what it takes to do what you just told me you wish to do. But I know exactly what it takes. And the wonderful news is we've got a method to make it possible for you to mature in the process of discovering the truth about what it is you're setting out to do. Step one, step two, and I go back and back.
Got it.
Back. What they do in that process will tell you everything you need to know. We get to change that. But you understand, the only way we get to change that is take responsibility for our own life. Not for their lives, not for hers, not for his, not for its, not for the community, not for the state, not for the government, not for the federal, not for the international. Our life, my life. I've got to go to work on my life, just in exactly the way they went to work on me in boot camp. Now hear me, I got to put myself into boot camp. And I've got to get all of the bullshit out of me. So I can suddenly discover what truth means. We don't even know what the word truth means.
Well, truth is offensive. Truth is, it hurts. The truth is something people can't handle. I mean, when you sit down and you explain to a young whippersnapper, some people come to our conferences and they want to know how search engines work. So you sit down and you explain to them how the Google algorithm works and you show them examples and they go, well, I don't want to have to do all of that. Is there an easy way? And you say, no, you can't. I won't get too nerdy into it, but you tell them you have to have the most original HTML content. You have to have a canonically compliant website. You have to have the most reviews and the most mobile compliance. There's 4 variables. And they say, canonical, that's multiple syllables. And
yeah,
I would have
me, Clay. It's not you have to. It's it has to. So understand, not you have to, it has to. What you have to do is to come face to face and understand how little you actually know. So if you were to take the average human being in these United States today, if you were to take everybody out there on the street, who's burning everything down, and have them take a test. Now, I'm not talking about a hard test. I'm talking about a simple test.
Simple test.
I'm talking about your A, B, C's. I'm talking about your 1, 2, 3s. If you were to put them through that process, the vast majority of them would fail. Absolutely abject failure. And then you've got to say, if you don't even know that, what leads you to presume that you can tell me how to live my life? Time for boot camp. So my point is, one of the greatest things that anybody could possibly do for America is put everybody into boot camp. Everybody goes to boot camp. You got to have a boot camp in whatever you're deciding to do. You got to have a boot camp because that's where people demonstrate who they are and what they know and what they do and what they don't and what they're not willing to do. Boot camp, boot camp. You got to open them up.
Tears are weakness leaving the body, as my uncle used to tell me. I think what you're telling us is mind-altering for some people. And I want to respect your time. I had a couple more questions on part 1 of this interview. I wanted to ask you specifically, on page 67 of your book, you wrote something to me, the reader, to all the readers. You wrote this to us. You said, you did the best you could. It's time to get on with your life, to build your business in an enlivening way. What does it mean to build your business in an enlivening way?
What does it mean to enliven? Is that what you're asking?
Yes, because it's a word that I don't hear people use.
Well, it means to bring true life to it.
Mm.
In short, when folks come to work, they're coming to invest their life for a particular period of time, to engage in work with the intent of producing a result. It's going to add value to every single person associated with that work. That means your customer. That means the guy at the desk next door. It means the guy you report to. It means the woman in the accounting department. It means everybody and anybody who's joined here, come here every day. It's like a prayer at the beginning of the day. Every day to enliven the experience, to come closer to God. So I've been given to say of late, if we're born in the image of God, and in Genesis it says we are, then it means we're born to create. God is the creator. So if we're born in the image of God, it means we're born to create. To create what? To create a world fit for God. Well, what would a world fit for God look like? Well, you can begin by reading the 10 Commandments. And you suddenly begin to see that we can engage in a way to enliven our experience of being committed, zealously engaged human beings, creators all, here to create an experience that we can experience as we do it, and after we've done it, and before we do it, that literally brings life to everything I do. Imagine that. And then you see what I mean by that.
You have given me an enlivened existence where I was able to escape the rat race. So today, while we've been talking, I think my team has probably cut, we have 3 stores, or there's 5 stores that are open that cut hair, and I don't have the ability to cut hair. So the barbershop, there's 5 stores open we have. So there's probably 200 people that got their hair cut in the last hour and a half, 2 hours, about 200 people getting their hair cut.
But wait a second, Clay.
Yeah.
That's not true what you just said.
Oh, sure.
You said, I don't have to do anything. No, hear me. You have to be something.
True.
So at the heart of what you've created is your energy. And at the heart of your energy is a love for God.
True.
And at the heart of your love for God is your determination to transform the state of every human being you connect with in whatever way is possible. Economically, socially, spiritually, relationally. What an extraordinary thing to possess as Clay Clark possesses it. And what an extraordinary thing for Clay Clark to pursue with every bit of energy you've got.
I appreciate you saying that, and I want you to know you unshackled me personally. It was a thing where you allowed me to get away from the DJ microphone at these weddings, to get away from the day-to-day operations and the reactivity, to be able to build proactive businesses. So now we can hopefully together mentor millions of people. And you have helped me, and I would love to give you the microphone to share what you're working on now, because whatever you're working on now deserves a Harry Carey holy cow.
Holy cow!
Whatever, because we met in Chicago, so whatever you're working on now deserves a Chicago Harry Carey holy cow.
Holy cow!
So tell us, what are you working on now, sir? What are you doing?
Well, hear me. I want you to think of a university, spelled Y-O-U, university. A university called Radical U. Radical Y-O-U. I want you to imagine awakening the entrepreneur within every human being on the planet. Every human being on the planet capable of studying, capable of working. That's what we created. So we have created a university, an entrepreneurial development university, to take out to the world and to transform the state of entrepreneurship worldwide to a degree that's never been accomplished before. Our university is 5 years long. Our university is devoted to what we call the Eightfold Path.
Wow.
And every student in our university will discover their dream, their vision, their purpose, their mission, their job, their practice, their business, their enterprise. An evolution of an enterprise from a company of one to a company of 1,000, called Beyond the E-Myth. The evolution of an enterprise from a company of one to a company of 1,000. And here's the best part. And you can promote this, Clay, until you're blue in the face. But every person within the sound of your voice needs to understand this, that we're giving the first year of Radical You away for $10.
$10 the whole year?
$10 for the entire year. 52 weeks, 52 video sessions online right now. And every single person within the sound of my voice, or can see my face, or see my Panama hat, or see your jacket, whatever it is, every single human being, I'm inviting them to join us in Radical You. When those people join us in Radical You, Clay, we're going to bring folks like you, folks like the other gentleman who just said hoorah, folks like every person you're connected with who wants to become a teacher of creativity. You're going to come and join us at Radical You, and you're going to teach something, and they're going to teach something, and I'm going to teach you what to teach. But hear me, that's what we're working on. 5 million students within the next 3 years. And then guess what's going to happen?
What's going to happen?
Apple, the company, is going to acquire Radical You.
Michael, I want to respect your time. I know you're probably taking your wife on a great date tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, my friend. I really do appreciate you.
Clay, see you in Oklahoma.
Clay Clark is here somewhere. Where's my buddy Clay? Clay's the greatest. I met his goats today. I met his dogs. I met his chickens. I saw his compound. He's like the greatest guy.
I ran from his goats, his chickens, his dogs.
So this guy's like the greatest marketer you've ever seen, right? His entire life, Clay Clark, his entire life is marketing.
Are you looking to start or grow a super successful business? Join Eric Trump, the New York Times bestselling author of The Carnivore Diet, Sean Baker. Join hundreds of real business owner client success stories at the highest rated business conference in America. Join Mel K, Julie Green, Amanda Grace, Pastor Dave Scarlett, and myself in Tulsa, Oklahoma, November 5th and 6th. Attend the most real, the most authentic, the highest rated, and most reviewed Ultimate Business Growth Workshop. During this 2-day interactive business workshop, you're going to learn everything you need to know to make your business grow. Learn how to generate more sales. Learn how to produce additional high-quality inbound leads. Learn how to create repeatable systems. Learn how to build a successful business. And learn how to do it now. If you've ever wanted to learn how to start and grow a super successful company, this is the event for you. At our 2-day interactive business workshop, we will teach you specifically every step that you need to take to start and grow a super successful company. We will teach you specifically how to get to the top of the Google search engine results, how to dominate artificial intelligence search results, how to market via social media, how to generate more leads, and how to get in front of your ideal and likely buyers. We're going to teach you the step-by-step processes that you need to learn in order to hire, inspire, train, and retain high-quality employees and teammates. We're going to teach you specifically what you need to learn to manage a team of people. We're going to teach you how to manage your finances, how to look at the numbers, and to figure out the specific steps that you need to take to create a time freedom and financial freedom producing business. At the Thrivetime Show 2-day interactive business workshop, we've been teaching entrepreneurs everything they need to know to start and grow a successful company since 2005. In fact, at our 2-day interactive business workshops, we're going to teach you marketing, systems, and scaling. human resources, accounting, social media marketing, branding, search engine optimization, sales training, financial management, and so much more. You can learn more and request tickets today simply by going to thrivetimeshow.com. Yes, you can request tickets today simply by going to thrivetimeshow.com. That's the website. Join Eric Trump, myself, and Team America live and in person at the Thrivetime Show 2-day interactive business workshop, November 5th and 6th in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
My name is Kevin Thomas, and the name of our company is MultiClean. We are a commercial janitorial service, and we serve the entire state of Oklahoma and Kansas, and soon to be Arkansas. We have probably grown probably 5 times. We've added, I think when we first started with you, we had 60 to 65 employees. And now we have a little over 300 employees. Before we got involved with Thrivetime, we didn't really have any systems or processes in place. So I've probably been to, in 6-7 years, I've probably been to 12 to 13 business conferences. And amazingly, each time I go, I learn something new, and I'm so excited to bring it back and show the team about marketing and how to implement.
Okay, Aaron Antis, November 5th and 6th. Guess who's coming back to Tulsa? I will give you a hint. His first name is Eric, and his last name is Trump. Whoa. And his father is the 47th president of these United States. Yes, Eric Trump is joining us once again here September 25th and 26th in Tulsa, Oklahoma for the 2-day interactive Thrivetime Show Business Growth Workshop. But Eric Trump is bringing friends. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Amanda Grace will be in the place. Dr. Stella Emanuel will be here in T-Town in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Julie Green will be on the scene. Mel K will be here to say hey. Dave Scarlett from the His Glory team will be here. It's going to be a blasty blast right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. If you want to start or grow a super successful company, if you want to make your wallet great again or make your wallet great for the first time, if you want to learn marketing, systems, scaling, human resources, accounting, social media, branding, search engine optimization, sales training, financial management, and more, get your tickets right now at thrivetimeshow.com. Once again, that's thrivetimeshow.com.
Hey, I'm Ryan Wimpy. I'm originally from Tulsa, born and raised here. I've definitely learned a lot about life design and making sure the business serves you. The linear workflow for us and getting everything out on paper and documented is really important. Like we have workflows that are kind of all over the place, so having linear workflow and seeing that mapped out on multiple different boards is pretty awesome. That's really helpful for me. The atmosphere here is awesome. I definitely just stared at the walls, figuring out how to make my facility look like this place. This place rocks. It's invigorating. The walls are super, it's just very cool. The atmosphere is cool. The people are nice. It's a pretty cool place to be. Very good learning atmosphere. I literally want to model it and steal everything that's here at this facility and basically create it just on our business side. Play is hilarious. I literally laughed so hard that I started having tears yesterday. And we've been learning a lot, which, you know, we've been sitting here, we've been learning a lot, and so the humor definitely helps. It breaks it up. But the content is awesome, off the charts, and it's very interactive. You can raise your hand. It's not like you're just listening to the professor speak, you know. The wizard teaches, but the wizard interacts and he takes questions, so that's awesome. If you're not attending the conference, you're missing about 3/4 to half of your life. You're definitely, it's probably worth a couple $1,000s. So you're missing the thought process of someone that's already started like 9 profitable businesses. So not only is it a lot of good information, but just getting in the thought.
Clay Clark is here somewhere. Where's my buddy Clay? Clay's the greatest. I met his goats today. I met his dogs. I met his chickens. I saw his compound. He's like the greatest guy.
I ran from his goats, his chickens, his dogs.
So this guy's like the greatest marketer you've ever seen, right? His entire life, Clay Clark, his entire life is marketing.
Well, people don't know this, but the Trump organization has thousands of employees. There's not 50 employees. The Trump organization, again, most people don't know this, but the Trump organization has thousands of employees. And while Donald J. Trump was the 45th president of these United States, he needed a competent man to run and execute his business plans. Showtime! So the man that runs the Trump organization for Donald J. Trump, as he was the 45th president of the United States and now the 47th president of the United States, is Eric Trump. And so Eric Trump is here to talk about time management, promoting from within, marketing, branding, quality control, sales systems, workflow design, workflow mapping, how to build. I mean, everything that you see, the Trump hotels, the Trump golf courses, all their products, the man who manages billions of dollars of real estate and thousands of employees is here to teach us how to do it.
You are talking about one of the greatest brands on the planet from a business standpoint.
Right.
I mean, who else has been able to create a brand like the Trump brand? I mean, look at it. And this is the man behind the business for the last pretty much since 2015. He's been the man behind it. So you're talking, we're into 9 going into 10 years of him running it, and we get to tap into that knowledge. That's going to be amazing.
Now, think about this for a second.
But that Clay Clark, man, he is one character.
It's a good word for him, character. Yeah, that is it.
Good, driven, smart. And I've never met a guy who was so hyper all the time. He's doing so much good. And then I met his mother, and she just says, she just lets him be Clay Clark. I mean, so he's endorsed by his mother, and he's doing magnificent work. So it was great meeting you out there and all the people that he surrounds himself with. Clay Clark starts his days at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, it's incredible. Yeah, he's a machine. He's a machine.
Yeah. But I have problems with my company starting at 9 o'clock. Yes, hundreds of people showing up at 5 a.m. in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Man, he's a leader of a leader. He's a fantastic young man.
No, he is.
The lineup continues to grow, and this is how we do our tickets here at the Thrivetime Show. If you want to get a VIP ticket, you can absolutely do it. It's $500 for a VIP ticket. We've always done it that way. Now, if you want to take a general admission ticket, it's $250 or whatever price you want to pay. And the reason why I do that, and the reason why we do that is because we want to make our events affordable for everybody. I grew up without money. I totally understand what it's like to be in a tight spot. So if you want to attend, it's $250 or whatever price you want to pay. That's how I do it. And it's $500 for a VIP ticket. Now, we only have limited seating here. With the most people we've ever had in this building was for the Jim Brewer presentation. Jim Brewer came here, the legendary comedian Jim Brewer came to Tulsa. And we had
718 people. 718 people.
And I thought to myself, there's no more room. I felt kind of bad that if a couple people had VIP seats in the men's restroom. No, I'm just kidding. But I thought, you know what? We should probably add on. So again, if you want to get tickets for this event, all you have to do is go to thrivetimeshow.com. Go to thrivetimeshow.com. When you go to thrivetimeshow.com, you'll go there, you'll request a ticket, boom. Or if you want to text me, if you want a little bit faster service, you say, I want you to call me right now. Just text my number. It's my cell phone number, my personal cell phone number. We'll keep that private between you, me, everybody. We'll keep that private. In anybody. Don't share that with anybody except for everybody. That's my private cell phone number. It's 918-851-0102. 918-851-0102. I know we have a lot of Spanish-speaking people that attend these conferences, and to be bilingually sensitive, my cell phone number is 918-851-0102.
That is not actually bilingual. That's just saying Juan for a one. It's not the same thing.
I think you're attacking me. Now, let's talk about this. Now, what kind of stuff will you learn at the Thrivetime Show workshop? So, Aaron, you've been to many of these over the past 7-8 years, so let's talk about it. I'll tee up the thing, and then you tell me what you're going to learn here, okay?
Okay.
You're going to learn marketing and branding. What are we going to learn about marketing and branding?
Oh, yeah, we're going to dive into, so many people say, I got to get my brand known out there, like the Trump brand, right? You want to get that brand brand out there. It's like, how do I actually make people know what my business is and make it a household name? You're going to learn some intricacies of how you can do that.
You're going to learn sales. So many people struggle to sell something. This just in, your business will go to hell if you can't sell. So we're going to teach you sales. We're going to teach you search engine optimization, how to come up top in the search engine results. We're going to teach you how to manage people. Aaron, you have managed, no exaggeration, hundreds of people throughout your career and thousands of contractors. And most people struggle with managing people. Why does everybody have to learn how to manage people?
Well, because first of all, you either have great people or you have people who suck. And so it can be a challenge. Learning how to work with a large group of people and get everybody pulling in the same direction can be a challenge. But if you have the right systems, you have the right processes, and you're really good at selecting great ones, and we have a process we teach about how to find great people. When you start with the people who have a great attitude, they're teachable, they're driven, all of those things, then you can get those people all pulling in the same direction.
So we're going to teach you branding, marketing, sales, search engine optimization. We're going to teach you accounting. We're going to teach you personal finance, how to manage your finance. We're going to teach you time management. How do you manage your time? How do you get more done during a typical day? How do you build an organization if you're not organized? How do you do organization? How do you build an org chart? Everything that you need to know to start and grow a business will be taught during this 2-day interactive business workshop. Now, let me tell you how the format is set up here. And again, folks, this is a 2-day interactive 15. Think about this, folks. It's 2 days. Each day it starts at 7 a.m. and it goes until 5 p.m. So from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., 2 days. It's a 2-day interactive workshop. The way we do it is we do a 30-minute teaching session, and then we break for 15 minutes for a question and answer session. So, Aaron, what kind of great stuff happens during that 15-minute question and answer session after every teaching session?
I actually think it's the best part about the workshops, because here's what happens. I've been to lots of these things over the years. I've paid many thousands of dollars to go to them. And you go in there and they talk in vague generalities, and they're constantly upselling you for something, trying to get you to buy this thing or that thing or this program or this membership. And you leave not getting your very specific questions answered about your business or your employees or what you're doing on your marketing. And what's awesome about this is we literally answer every single question that any person asks, and it's very specific to what your business is.
And what we do is we allow you as the attendee to write your questions on the whiteboard.
Yep.
And then we literally, as you mentioned, we answer every single question on the whiteboard. And then we take a 15-minute break to stretch and to make it entertaining when you're stretching. This is a true story. When you get up and stretch, you'll be greeted by mariachis. There's going to probably be alpaca here, llamas, helicopter rides, a coffee bar, a snow cone. There's just...
You had a crocodile one time. That was pretty interesting.
I should write that down and actually do that.
Sorry for that one guy that we lost.
The crocodile, we duct taped its face so that we duct taped.
No, it was a baby crocodile.
And it was duct tape.
Yeah, duct tape around the mouth so it didn't bite anybody. But it was really cool passing that thing around and
I should do that. We have a small petting zoo that will be assembled. It's going to be great. And then you're in the company of hundreds of entrepreneurs. So there's not a lot of people in America today. In fact, there's less than 10 million people today, according to U.S. Debt Clock, that identify as being self-employed. So if you have a country with 350 million people, that means you have less than 3% of our population that's even self-employed. Yeah. So you only have 3 out of every 100 people in America that are self-employed to begin with. And when Inc. magazine reports that 96% of businesses fail by default, you have a 1 out of 1,000 chance of succeeding in the game of business. But yet the average client that you and I work with, we can typically double this. And this is no hyperbole, no exaggeration. And I have thousands of testimonials to back this up. We have thousands of testimonials to back it up. But when you work with a home builder, when I work with a business owner, we can typically double the size of the company within 24 months.
Yeah.
Double. And you say double? Yeah, there's businesses that we have tripled. There's businesses we've grown 8x. There's so many examples you can see at thrivetimeshow.com. But again, this is the most interactive, best business workshop on the planet. This is objectively the highest rated and most reviewed business workshop on the planet.
I was looking to learn how to take my business, like they've said today, from being very successful to being systematic. I've got a very successful practice in 3 different cities, make good money. Just want to take it to the next level with systems and processes to where I can drive my cars more.
Paul Hood.
I have been a CPA for 33 years.
And what kind of growth have you and your great team had here over the past, let's say, 5-6 years?
For the last when I met you 5 years ago, we were doing 3 million. This year we'll do 24 million.
Whoa. And you say, Clay, I'm not going to get a ticket unless you give me more. Okay, fine. We're going to serve you the same meal both days. True story. We cater in the food, and because I keep it simple, I literally bring in the same food both days for lunch. It's Ted Escondido's, an incredible Mexican restaurant. That's going to happen. And if someone says, I want more, this is not enough.
Give me more.
Okay. I'm not going to mention their names right now because I'm working on it behind the scenes here. But we've got one guy who's given me a verbal to be here. And this is a guy who's one of the wealthiest people in Oklahoma. And nobody really knows who he is because he's built systems that are very utilitarian, that offer a lot of value. He's made a lot of money in it's where you rent. It's short term. It's where you're renting storage spaces. He's a storage space guy. He owns what do you call that? The rental,
a storage space.
Storage units.
Yeah.
This guy owns storage units. He owns railroad cars. He owns a lot of assets that make money on a daily basis, but they're not like customer facing. Most people don't know who owns the mini storage facility, or most people don't know who owns the warehouse that's passively making money. Most people don't know who owns the railroad cars, but this guy, he's given me a verbal that he will be here, and we just continue to add more and more success stories. So if you're out there today and you want to change your life, you want to give yourself an incredible gift, you want a life-changing experience, you want to learn how to start and grow a company, go to thrivetimeshow.com. Go there right now, thrivetimeshow.com. Request a ticket for the 2-day interactive event.
Hey, how's it going? I'm Thomas Crossan, owner and founder of Full Package Media in Dallas, Texas. I've been a coaching client with Clay Clark since the beginning of our business. We started about a year ago, August of last year. I had no clients, no idea what we were doing, no clue really what was going on. And now we've grown to where we've got 6 photographers, we've got office space here. I have an admin, sales person that works for us full time, developing an online system. And a lot of that growth we attribute to Clay helping us. And there's so many things that his stuff is not, revolutionary. It's not this crazy walk on hot coals and all this stuff. It's just real stuff.
It's going to be a blasty blast. There's no upsells. Aaron, I could not be more excited about this event.
I think it is incredible. And there's somebody out there right now, you're watching and you're like, but I already signed up for this incredible other program called Smoke Your Way to Thin. I think that's going to change your life. I promise you this will be 10 times better than that.
Whoa. It's like I picked the wrong week to quit smoking.
Now, don't do the Smoke Your Way to Thin conference. That is, I've tried it. Don't do it.
Yeah, chain smoking is not a viable. It is life-changing. It is life-changing. If you become a chain smoker, it is life-changing.
Not the best weight loss program, though.
Right, really. So if you're looking to have life-changing results in a way that won't cause you to have a stoma, get your tickets at thrivetimeshow.com. Again, that's Aaron Antis. I'm Clay Clark, and reminding you and inviting you to come out to the 2-day interactive Thrive Time Show workshop right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I promise you it will be a life-changing experience. We can't wait to see you right here in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Whoa.
What kind of growth have you had since you and I have been working together over these past few years?
3.45 million. I got those stats before I got on here.
So you've grown by 3.45 million.
Yeah, 3,450,000.
Would that be like if you took the combined revenue, maybe doubled it? Have we gone up by
about almost 3, not quite.
Whoa.